New York was the place Chris Mullin called home. Mullin is now in his 7th season with the Warriors, and today he makes his only appearance of the season at Madison Square Garden. As Quinn Buckner found out, there will be more than a couple of friendly faces in the crowd.
When God made a basketball player, he just carved Chris Mullin out and just said, this is a player.
Chris Mullin is Larry Bird, only at 6'7", not 6'9".
My high school coach, he approached me one time and said, don't you think you can play in the NBA? And I thought he was crazy.
Mullin for three, he got another one.
Sometimes it's tough to recognize talent, especially your own. Chris Mullin, now in his 7th season, has become one of the best in the NBA. But to get a better perspective of this 4-time All-Star, you've got to go back to his early days. You've got to go back to the streets of New York.
The way he talks, the way he acts.
I remember going to a few Knicks games and not really being able to sit so close. You know, man, I always wanted to maybe get down to and just touch that floor.
The kid from Brooklyn would have to wait a few years for that chance, but he did become a high school legend. And then it was down the block to St. John's and a trip to the Final Four. He even won a gold medal at the '84 Olympics. But Mullin left a message at the Olympic training site: if the beer is cold, we'll win the gold. 3 years later, Chris had to come to grips with his alcohol addiction, entering a rehabilitation program.
I want to go back to a time that had to be, in its own way, a bad time, but also a good time for you. Talk to me a little bit about your alcohol problem.
Well, that, you know, looking back, that's 4 years now. So I can say now is the best thing I ever did in my life. I remember Nelly was right here, and he kind of challenged me. I had come late to practice, I think, or maybe missed practice, I'm not really sure. And he said, I think you got a problem. I think you should take care of it. I really wasn't sure what he meant. I mean, I did know, but I didn't want to know. Right. You know what I mean? I was kind of in denial. And he walked a few steps and he said, you know what, I'm suspending you. You're suspended.
I saw this wonderful person who was dominated by an addiction. And until he took care of his addiction, you were never going to see this wonderful person come out.
So now my life is structured towards, you know, I take care of myself first and then everything else falls in place. You know, the basketball is very important to me and I love it, but I would do fine without it.
Mullin began and still continues one of the strictest conditioning regimens in the league. He finally had his life and his game together. Then a little more than a year ago, he lost his best friend. His father died.
To me, he's still with me, you know, and I feel him, you know, and it's hard to say when and where at certain times. Maybe at night, you know, if I'm out walking my dog, and I just have a feeling that I need to talk to him. And I usually look up in the sky and just, whatever star is shining, that's him.
Well, I got one block here. Well, I got 22.
Chris's mom continues a tradition started by Chris and his father. When the Warriors make their lone trip of the season to play at Madison Square Garden, it means free tickets for family and friends. For today's game, the Mullin contingent is an unbelievable 130 strong.
You know, you play on the road so many times, you know, you just used to getting booed and yelled at and heckled and all that. But in New York, for some reason, it feels like, you know, not that they're rooting for the Warriors, but I got a little back anyway. You know, I mean, I feel pretty comfortable when I go back there.
Now, you did the interview with him after practice, but he went out afterwards, following your talk, and practiced some more on his own, huh?
It's amazing. I mean, he did exactly that, and then I called and talked to his wife, Liz, and this happened about 2 o'clock, so at about 5:30, actually was 5:45, I called and said, is Chris there? And she said, no, he's still out. So he'll come in, he'll eat, and then he'll work out after he eats again. The guy is an amazing gym rat. But I come away from that whole thing, and I sense this Larry Bird comparison in that the guy is really committed to doing what it takes to be a great basketball player.
Of course, they're not alone in that quality around the league. Maybe it's just an easy comparison to make.
No, I don't think so. It's that easy. I believe that this guy with the height difference is very much like Larry in the commitment. And the commitment for players are various, just like anything else. Some guys go at it wholeheartedly with a great deal of effort. Some guys just go after it just trying to get it done. Chris Mullin has a great deal of effort and commitment.
He's 4th in the league now in scoring, 4th in steals. He's averaging just under 27 points, 6 rebounds at 6'7", and 2.5 steals a game. We'll see him next in the first game of our doubleheader, the Warriors and the Knicks. Marv Albert and Steve Jones have the